The United Earth Diplomatic Station hung in the empty space between worlds, a giant metal ring that floated in the darkness like a monument to hope. Captain Hayes stood in the central reception hall, his dress uniform crisp and perfect. Every fold of his blue and gold jacket was exactly where it should be. His boots shined like mirrors. He had trained his entire life for moments like this one. The reception hall was massive. It rose 50 meters high with walls made of clear material so you could see the stars beyond. Delegates from 50 different alien species filled the space. They wore strange clothes. Some floated above the ground. Others had skin that shifted colors. A few looked almost human, most did not. Had served as a Marine for 14 years. He had fought in 3 different countries. He had seen combat and danger, but nothing had prepared him for this. This was humanity's first real chance to sit as equals with the galactic powers. Earth had finally joined the Galactic Coalition after years of negotiation. Today was the celebration. Today was supposed to show the universe that humans belonged. Admiral White stood near the center of the room, speaking with a tall purple being who had 4 arms. She looked calm and confident. She was the leader of Earth's delegation, and everyone respected her. She had negotiated Earth's entry into the coalition. She had fought for human rights in 1,000 meetings. Today she wore a military uniform as well, but her uniform held more medals than could count. Cole's friend and fellow Marine stood 20 meters away, looked nervous. His eyes kept moving around the room. Could see him gripping his hands too tight. This was first diplomatic assignment too. They had both been chosen because they were strong enough to inspire respect but smart enough to stay calm. The room hummed with activity. Servers moved between the delegates, offering drinks and food. Humans had prepared special meals from Earth. There was something symbolic about that. The Galactic Coalition had doubted that humans could do anything well. But Earth had studied every species present, learning their food preferences, their customs, their ways of showing respect. Then the doors at the far end of the hall opened. Commander Vex entered the room and everything changed. He was 8 feet tall, maybe taller. His body looked like it was made of clear crystal, but when light moved through him, you could see muscles and organs underneath. His eyes were large and black without pupils or whites. He had 4 fingers on each hand, and those fingers were sharp like blades. Vex was an enforcer for the Galactic Coalition. That meant he held real power. His authority was respected across multiple systems. He walked into the room like he owned it, like everything here was beneath him. Watched him carefully. Training taught you to notice everything. Vex's movements were controlled and precise. His crystal body caught the light in the room and threw it in different directions. He looked dangerous. He looked strong. But more than that, Vex looked angry. The enforcer moved through the crowd without greeting anyone. He pushed past a small blue alien without apologizing. He ignored the general who tried to welcome him. He walked straight toward Admiral White, and his expression did not change. Admiral White stopped talking. The purple being she had been speaking with moved away quickly. In seconds, a space opened around White. Everyone watched. Everyone knew something was about to happen. Vex spoke first. His voice was deep and sounded like ice breaking apart. "Your species does not belong here," he said in perfect English. "The Coalition voted to allow Earth entry because we felt sorry for you. You are primitive. You are violent. You will never be equals to us." Felt his hands tighten. This was not respect. This was not diplomacy. Admiral White remained still. She did not show anger. "Commander, the Coalition voted for Earth's membership fairly. We earned our place." "You earn nothing," Vex said. His crystal body began to glow with a cold light. "You are children playing in a universe you do not understand. You will be removed from the Coalition within 1 year, all of you. Every human will be sent back to your small Earth, and you will never be allowed to return." The room had gone completely silent. Every creature present was watching. Some looked shocked. Others looked excited, like they wanted to see what would happen next. Admiral White's face stayed calm, but could see her jaw tighten slightly. "That is not a decision you can make alone, Commander. The Coalition's laws protect our membership." Vex laughed. The sound echoed off the walls. It was not a friendly laugh. It was the laugh of someone who did not care about laws or fairness. "Laws are what I make them to be. I am the enforcer. I determine what the Coalition allows." Then Vex turned away from Admiral White. His large eyes moved across the room until they found. The enforcer walked directly toward him. Stood at attention. His heart was beating faster now, but his face showed nothing. Training taught you to control your emotions. Training taught you to stay ready for anything. Vex stopped in front of. The enforcer was a full 2 feet taller. He looked down at the Marine like he was looking at an insect. "You are a soldier?" Vex asked. "Yes, sir," said. "United States Marine Corps." "A Marine," Vex repeated. His black eyes studied from head to feet. "You are trained to fight. You think you are strong. You think you matter." "I serve my country and the coalition," said. His voice was steady. Vex raised one of his crystal arms. His fingers were pointed and sharp. "Humans think violence is strength. You think you can challenge the powers of this galaxy. You are nothing but fools." Then Vex's hand moved. It came across face like a blade, a hard strike meant to hurt and to humiliate. The sound of it cracked through the room. His head moved backward from the force. His face burned where the strike had landed. The entire hall went silent. Nobody moved, nobody even breathed. This was more than an insult. This was a challenge. This was Vex saying that humans were beneath respect. This was Vex saying that was weak and helpless. Felt the pain in his face. He felt the sting of the strike. He felt every eye in the room watching him to see what he would do. He thought about Earth. He thought about the millions of people who had hoped humanity would finally have respect in this galaxy. He thought about Admiral White, who had fought so hard for this moment. And he thought about what it meant to be a United States Marine. His eyes cleared. The pain in his face faded into the background. Something hard and cold moved through him, replacing everything else. His training took over. His years of combat experience, his discipline, his strength, all of it moved into the present moment. He looked directly at Commander Vex, and then smiled. "Thank you," said. "I needed to know where I stand with you." Vex's black eyes widened slightly. He did not expect a response like that. He did not expect calmness. He expected fear. He expected the human to crumble. But what happened next would change everything. His body moved, not with anger, not with wildness, but with the perfect precision of a trained warrior. His legs pushed him forward. His arm came up and extended with all the power his human body could generate. Every muscle, every year of training, every ounce of strength. His fist drove directly into the center of Commander Vex's crystal chest. The enforcer's eyes went wide with shock and pain. His body flew backward through the air. He crashed through a reinforced viewing panel behind him, and the sound of breaking crystal filled the hall. Vex's body hit the wall hard, leaving cracks in the metal. For 3 seconds, nobody moved, nobody spoke. Then stood straight, breathing controlled. He looked at every alien in the room. His face was calm. His eyes were sharp. He was not afraid. "Humans are not children," said. His voice was steady and strong. "We come from a world where survival means fighting. We come from a world where we do not accept disrespect, and we do not break easily." Commander Vex struggled to his feet, crystal cracks running through his body. He looked at the medical bay of the United Earth Diplomatic Station was clean and white and very quiet. Dr. Samuel Brooks worked alone, checking the readings on a machine that showed condition. The doctor was in his 60s with gray hair and steady hands. He had treated soldiers for 30 years. He knew what shock looked like and did not look shocked. Sat on the examination table with his shirt off. His face was bruised where Vex had struck him. The left side was already purple and swollen, but did not seem to notice the pain. His eyes looked straight ahead, focused on nothing. "The swelling will go down in 2 days," Dr. Brooks said. "You have a minor fracture on your cheekbone, nothing serious. You heal fast. It comes from being young and strong." "What about Vex?" asked. "That is not my concern," Dr. Brooks said. He was applying a cool gel to his face now. "The Coalition has their own medical teams. They are treating him in a secured section of the station. What I care about is you. What I care about is whether you are hurt inside." Did not answer. He knew what the doctor meant. Vex had struck him in front of the entire delegation. It was meant to make feel small. It was meant to break him. The doctor was asking if it had worked. "I am fine," said. His voice was even. Dr. Brooks studied him. The doctor had seen this before in soldiers. Sometimes when people went through hard moments, something happened inside them. They separated from the pain. They pushed their emotions away. Dr. Brooks was not sure if that was good or bad. Before the doctor could speak, the door opened. Admiral White entered the medical bay. She looked angry and calm at the same time, which was something only a military officer could manage. Cole followed her, looking worried. "Leave us," Admiral White told Dr. Brooks. The doctor nodded and walked out of the room, closing the door quietly behind him. Admiral White looked at. She did not look at his bruised face. She looked at his eyes. "What you did was not smart," she said. Her voice was hard. "You struck a coalition enforcer in front of 50 delegations. You could have started a war." "He struck first," said. "It was self-defense." "You think rules matter to someone like Vex?" Admiral White's face showed frustration. "He has power, we have nothing. We have a seat at a table, that is all. And now you have made us look dangerous. You have made them afraid of us." Met her eyes. "I made them see that we will not be treated like animals. I made them see that we will fight back." Admiral White was quiet for a moment, shifted his weight uncomfortably. This was dangerous ground, everyone knew it. Then Admiral White's expression changed. She looked at again, and something different was in her face, something like understanding. "Do you know what just happened?" she asked. "In the last hour, I received communication from the military command, the traders, and the representatives. They are asking if you are all right. They are asking what the coalition will do about Vex's assault. They are demanding that the coalition explain his behavior." "Did not understand. Why would they care?" "Because Vex is not loved," said. He was reading something on a data pad that he held. "I looked him up. He has attacked other species before. He has destroyed peace agreements. He has threatened smaller worlds, but no one ever pushed back. No one ever fought him." Admiral White nodded. "You did something that no one in the coalition has done. You showed that you will not accept disrespect. You did it in front of the entire assembly, and right now, other species are wondering if they should have done the same thing." She walked closer too. "I came here thinking you had ruined everything, but I was wrong. You have actually given us something. You have given us respect." Over the next 3 hours, the station's communication systems came alive. Messages poured in. They offered their military support if needed. A trader sent data about Vex's history, showing a long pattern of violence and bullying. A small alien species that humans had barely heard of sent a message. "We see strength in your people now." But there was also fear. Coalition leaders demanded answers. They wanted to know if Earth would apologize. They wanted to know if would be punished. Ambassador was the chief negotiator for Earth. He was a thin man with gray eyes and a calm way of speaking. He called to his office in the diplomatic section of the station. The office had a window that looked out at the stars. Earth was invisible from here, a small blue planet millions of kilometers away. Ambassador sat behind his desk and studied for a long time before speaking. "The coalition's legal team has reviewed the incident," he said. "According to their laws, Vex initiated physical contact unprovoked. Your response was self-defense. There is nothing they can do to you." "But they will try," said. "Yes," Ambassador said. "They will claim you used excessive force. They will demand that humans be removed from the coalition. They will say we are too dangerous to be trusted with a seat on the council. The hearing will be public. It will be broadcast across multiple star systems." Felt the weight of that. One moment, one strike, and now it would echo across the galaxy. "What do I do?" asked. "You tell the truth," Ambassador said. "You explain what happened. You show them that humans are warriors, but we are not savages. We are disciplined. We are fair. We do not start fights, but we finish them." He paused, then he said something more. "You have given us something that was impossible a few hours ago, Captain Hayes. You have made the coalition see us as equals. That is worth more than any treaty we could have signed. But it is fragile. The hearing will determine if we keep that respect or if we lose everything." Over the next week was confined to his quarters. It was not a prison, but it was close. He could not leave. He could not speak to anyone except his lawyers and the diplomatic team. The other Marines on the station tried to act normal, but they all looked at him differently now. Some looked at him with pride. Some looked at him with fear. Some looked at him with questions they did not know how to ask. Vex was recovering in isolation. His crystal body was healing, but the damage was significant. He would carry the cracks for the rest of his life. When he moved, the light would shine through those cracks differently. Every living creature that looked at him would see the mark of his defeat. On the 7th day, a message came from the military. A general named had requested to speak with. The meeting was allowed, and the general was waiting in a secured room when entered. General was 7 feet tall, with scaled gray skin and eyes that glowed faintly yellow. He was a warrior, and you could see it in the way he held himself. The general studied the same way studied him. "I have seen the recording of the incident 17 times, said. "Your movement was precise, your strike was perfectly placed. You are a trained soldier." "Yes, sir," said. "Vex thought you were weak because you are human," the general said. He did not understand. The universe has many kinds of strength. Some species are strong because they are large. Some are strong because they have superior technology. But humans are strong because you survive, because you continue, because you refuse to accept defeat. The general extended his hand, took it. The grip was firm. "When I was young," said, "I fought in a war that nearly destroyed my entire civilization. We had better weapons than our enemies. We had superior numbers, but we did not have the will to sacrifice. In the end, we were defeated by a smaller force that was simply willing to fight harder. I learned something that day, Captain Hayes. Strength is not what you have. Strength is what you are willing to do." The legal chamber of the Galactic Coalition was the largest room in the entire station. It rose 90 meters high and could hold representatives from all the major species. The ceiling was made of clear material, and through it, you could see the black void of space filled with stars. It was meant to remind everyone that they were not so large and important in the universe. It was meant to keep them humble. Sat in the witness chair. In front of him, on a raised platform, sat Judge Meridian. The judge was a species that lived so long they could watch civilizations rise and fall. Judge Meridian was over 3,000 years old. Her skin was smooth and white as paper, and she had large eyes that seemed to look into your soul. She was known for being fair but hard to impress. The courtroom was filled. Delegates from every major species were present. The hearing was being broadcast live to 15 star systems. Millions of beings were watching this. They were watching to see if humans would be accepted in the coalition or expelled forever. On one side of the courtroom sat Ambassador and the Earth legal team. On the other side sat Commander Vex and his supporters. Vex's body still showed the cracks from strike. They ran through his crystal frame like lightning frozen in time. Judge Meridian called the court to order. "This is a review of the incident that occurred 7 days ago in the diplomatic reception hall," she said. Her voice was strong, even though she was very small. "We will examine the facts of the case and determine if laws were broken and by whom." The first witness was a trader named. Traders had perfect memories and they could recall events with complete accuracy. That Commander Vex had approached Captain without provocation. That Vex had threatened Earth's membership in the coalition. That Vex had struck first, and that's response came within 3 seconds. "In those 3 seconds," said, "I observed the human calculate distance, velocity, and impact point. The strike was not wild or uncontrolled. It was precise. It was the strike of a trained warrior making a tactical decision." Vex's legal team objected repeatedly, but the facts did not change. Had seen everything and was reporting the truth. Then a general named was a decorated military officer, and his opinion carried weight across many systems. He said that in his military, any soldier who struck another soldier without cause would face severe punishment. He said that response was not excessive. He said that it was exactly what the law allowed. "The human showed restraint," said. "He could have killed Vex. He could have continued the attack. He chose to strike once and then stop. This is discipline. This is exactly what we want in soldiers." Then came the moment that changed everything. Ambassador stood up and released historical data. It was information about Commander Vex's entire career in the coalition. For the last 70 years, Vex had used his position to bully smaller species. He had threatened them. He had intimidated them. He had struck representatives from at least 6 different species, and in all those cases, the targeted species had not fought back. They had accepted the treatment because Vex was powerful and they were small. One by one, representatives from those species came to testify. An old being from the Quar spoke about how Vex had struck her in front of her own delegation. A young male from the described how Vex had threatened to destroy his world's trade agreements. A small purple alien explained how Vex had demanded that his species provide soldiers for Vex's personal guard. By the time all the testimonies were finished, the picture was clear. Commander Vex was not a respected enforcer protecting the coalition. He was a bully who had gotten away with his actions for decades because no one had ever pushed back. Then Judge Meridian called to testify, stood and walked to the witness stand. He could feel every eye in the courtroom watching him. Some looked angry, some looked curious, some looked respectful. Judge Meridian asked him to describe what happened. did not exaggerate, he did not dramatize, he simply told the truth in simple words. He described the insult. He described the strike. He described his response. "Why did you strike the commander?" Judge Meridian asked. Her ancient eyes studied his face. "Because I am a human," said. "Because I come from a world that is harsh and difficult. On my world, if someone strikes you and you do nothing, they will strike you again. They will continue until you are destroyed. I struck back because it is what my training taught me. I struck back because humans do not accept abuse. We fight back." "Even against superior forces?" Judge Meridian asked. "Especially against superior forces," said. "On Earth, we have learned that size and strength do not always determine who wins. Determination determines it, determines it. The ability to refuse to be broken determines it." Judge Meridian was silent for a long moment. Then she asked, "Do you believe you acted lawfully?" "I believe I acted in self-defense," said. "I believe Commander Vex struck me first, and I believed I had the right to respond. I did not seek to start a conflict. I sought to end one." The questioning continued for hours, answered every question carefully and honestly. He did not get angry even when Vex's lawyers tried to provoke him. He did not exaggerate his actions. He simply told what happened. When left the witness stand, he saw something change in the courtroom. The small alien species who had been bullied by Vex looked at him with something like hope. The military officers from the various worlds looked at him with something like respect. Even some of the Galactic Coalition members seemed to view the incident differently now. But Vex was not finished. When he claimed that his strike was a cultural gesture of disapproval. He claimed that it was not meant to hurt. He claimed that its response was excessive and dangerous. He claimed that humans were too unpredictable and too violent to have a seat on the council. "Humans are," Vex said. He used the term like an insult. "They come from a harsh world where violence is common. They cannot be trusted with power. They will turn against the coalition the moment they become strong enough." Then Judge Meridian asked him a simple question. "Commander Vex, have you struck other delegates?" Vex hesitated. The question was recorded and being broadcast. Lying would be caught immediately. "Yes," Vex said finally, "but those were different situations." "Explain," Judge Meridian said. Vex could not explain. Each situation was the same. Vex had struck smaller, weaker beings who could not fight back. That was the entire pattern of his behavior. Judge Meridian studied the data for several hours. The courtroom waited in silence. Finally, she made her ruling. "Commander Vex initiated physical contact without provocation," Judge Meridian said. "By coalition law, this is assault. Captain Hayes responded within the legal limits of self-defense. There is no basis for charges against the human." The courtroom erupted. Some beings shouted in support, some shouted in anger, but Judge Meridian continued. "Furthermore," she said, "I find that Commander Vex has a long history of using his position to intimidate and assault representatives from smaller species. This behavior has been tolerated for too long. Commander Vex is hereby stripped of his authority over matters relating to Earth. He is censured and suspended from diplomatic negotiations for 1 year." Then came the final part. Judge Meridian looked directly at Ambassador. "Regarding Earth's membership in the Galactic Coalition, I find that the planet and its representatives have demonstrated discipline, wisdom, and respect for our laws. There is no reason to remove them from the Council. Earth's seat is confirmed. Earth will have full voting rights and full representation in all coalition matters." The hearing was over. Humanity's place in the galaxy was secured, not through begging or negotiation, but through one human who was willing to fight back. As walked out of the courtroom, representatives from a dozen different species approached him. They wanted to talk to him. They wanted to thank him. They wanted to know more about Earth and humanity. 3 weeks after the legal hearing, the United Earth Diplomatic Station received a new assignment. Captain Hayes was no longer just a Marine standing guard at diplomatic functions. He was now the commander of the newly formed Diplomatic Security Division. It was the first unit in the Galactic Coalition, made up of multiple species working together as equals. His office was on the upper level of the station, with a window that looked out at the vast emptiness of space. Sat at his desk and studied the personnel files of his new team. There were 8 humans, Cole and 7 others selected from different military backgrounds. There were 4 warriors, including one named who had fought in 3 major wars. There were 3 tacticians who could plan strategies that involved hundreds of variables. There were two observers whose long lives meant they had seen countless conflicts. In total, now commanded a team of 17 beings from 7 different species. They had to learn to work together, trust each other, and fight together if necessary. It was the hardest job had ever been given. The first training session was difficult. The species had different body structures, different ways of thinking, and different communication styles. When gave an order, they responded with immediate aggression. When he asked them to plan a strategy, they spent too much time on analysis. The observers seemed more interested in observing than in participating. Cole watched from the side as struggled to manage the team. After the first day, approached in the training area. "This is not going to work," said. "They do not trust you, they do not trust each other. Half of them still think humans are primitive." New was right, but he also knew something else. The hearing had changed things. The galaxy was watching to see if humans could lead. The galaxy was waiting to see if this mixed species team would succeed or fail. That night called everyone together in the main briefing room. Humans and all stood in the same space. They were armed and ready, but they were not a team yet. "I know you do not all trust each other," said. "I know you have different ways. I know you think this will not work. I think you are probably right, but I am asking you to try anyway." He paused and looked at each member of his team. "I came to the Galactic Coalition as a human from a small, weak world that no one respected. A powerful being struck me in front of everyone. He did it because he thought humans were worthless. I struck back, and it changed how the galaxy sees my species." Walked closer to his team. "What I did was not smart by coalition standards. It was not calculated or careful. It was instinctive. I did what my training and my nature demanded, and the galaxy respected me for it." He pointed at the warrior. "You are the best fighter I have ever seen. Your species has won more wars than any other in this part of space. But what if you could not fight? What if you had to think instead? They could teach you that. You could teach them your discipline." Then he turned to the tactician. "You can see strategies that no one else can imagine. You can calculate outcomes that would take a human a lifetime to figure out. But sometimes the best strategy is to act when action is needed. Sometimes you have to make decisions with incomplete information. They could teach you that." Address the observers. "You have lived for thousands of years. You have seen patterns that the rest of us cannot see. But sometimes the perspective is the most important. Sometimes a young being with fresh eyes can see what the old cannot. We can teach you that." He looked at his human team last. "And humans have something that no one else has. We come from a world where survival is not guaranteed. We have learned to keep fighting even when we are tired. We have learned to work together because we have to. We have learned that weakness and strength are not always what they appear to be. That is what we bring to this team." Over the next 2 weeks, something changed. Began asking them to explain their strategies instead of just attacking problems directly. They began to move faster, to make decisions without waiting for every possible data point to be calculated. The observers began to speak about what they had seen in history that might apply to current problems. Trained them every day, not as separate species, but as one unit. He created scenarios where a human would have to trust us combat instincts. He created situations where us planning would save us life. He forced them to depend on each other. One day, during a particularly difficult training exercise, was trapped in a mock combat situation. His superior strength could not help him. His weapons were useless. A named worked quickly to find a solution. Discovered that if Cole moved to a specific position, could use the warrior's momentum combined with the exact angle that had calculated to escape the trap. It worked. The 3 of them succeeded where none of them could have succeeded alone. After the training approached, the warrior's scaled face was hard to read, but his eyes showed something like respect. "I have fought alongside my own species for over 100 years, said. "I have never fought the way I fought today. Your way is different, but it is good." A week later, an incident occurred that tested the new team in a real situation. A merchant vessel from a smaller species was attacked in the station's docking bay. Pirates from an outlawed faction tried to steal cargo. It should have been a simple security response. But the pirates were armed with advanced weapons, and they had taken hostages. Assembled his team quickly. He gave orders, but he also listened to suggestions. He outlined a strategy for moving through the station without being detected. Pointed out that the pirates would probably move toward the larger docking bay where they could escape more easily. One of the observers mentioned that this particular pirate group always left a guard at the main exit while they conducted their operation. Once team moved into action, they were not a bunch of different species trying to work together. They were a unit, the humans, and moved with deadly precision. The calculations allowed them to move perfectly, predicting exactly where the pirates would be at any given moment. The observers saw the patterns of the pirate behavior and warned when the pirates were about to change their tactics. The conflict lasted 12 minutes. No one on's team was seriously injured. The hostages were rescued. The pirates were captured. And the pirate leader, when he woke up after knocked him unconscious, realized that his weapons and strength had not been enough. News of the successful operation spread through the station and then across the coalition network. A mixed-species team had worked together and defeated a well-armed opponent. More importantly, they had done it without killing anyone unless absolutely necessary. They had shown discipline and precision. That night, the diplomatic station held a celebration. Representatives from multiple species gathered to honor team. The warriors were given medals for their combat skills. The tacticians were praised for their strategy. The observers were thanked for their wisdom. And the humans were recognized as leaders who had brought everyone together. During the celebration, Commander Vex appeared. He had been assigned to a remote outpost and he was preparing to leave the station. His crystal body still showed the cracks from strike. Those cracks would never heal. They would be a permanent reminder of his defeat. Vex approached. For a moment they simply looked at each other. Then the enforcer extended his hand. "Your team is good," Vex said. His voice showed no emotion. "I did not expect humans to be able to lead a mixed-species unit. I was wrong." Shook his hand. "You can still be part of something larger," he said. "You do not have to be the strongest. You can be the best version of yourself, working with others who are also trying to be their best." Vex did not respond. He simply nodded and walked away. As he left the celebration, he moved differently. The defeat had changed something in him. Whether it would make him better or simply bitter could not say. But at least now Vex knew that there were consequences for bullying others. As the celebration continued, stood with his team and looked out at the stars. Came and stood beside him. "We did it," said. "We actually did it." "No," said. "They did it. I just showed them how to work together." "That is leadership," said. 6 months had passed since that moment when Hayes struck Commander Vex. The United Earth Diplomatic Station had become the center of a new kind of activity in the Galactic Coalition. Species that had never worked together were now forming partnerships. Military forces from different worlds were training together. Scientists and engineers from competing civilizations were sharing knowledge. And much of it was because of the example that had set. On this day, stood in the observation bay of the station, looking out at the vast expanse of space. Earth was not visible from here, but he knew it was out there, orbiting a yellow star, home to 8 billion humans. They did not know his name. Most of them would never know what he had done. But his actions had changed their future. Admiral White entered the observation bay. She walked with the weight of someone who carried the responsibility of an entire world. She looked older than she had 6 months ago, but her eyes were still strong. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Tired," said. "Good, but tired." "You have earned the right to be tired," Admiral White said. She stood beside him, looking out at the same stars. "6 months ago, I thought you had ruined everything. I thought your actions would cost us our place in the coalition. I was wrong." "Did not say anything. There was nothing to say." "Do you know what happened in the outer systems yesterday?" Admiral White asked. "A general was going to attack a smaller colony because they refused to pay tribute. But the general remembered hearing about your team's operations. He remembered seeing how different species could work together. He realized that if he attacked, the coalition would send a mixed-species force against him. He decided to negotiate instead." She paused. "That single decision prevented a war that would have killed thousands. And it happened because you showed the galaxy something it had never seen before." Admiral White pulled out a data pad. On the screen was an official document from the Galactic Coalition Council. It was a commendation. It was official recognition of service to the coalition. "You are being promoted to commander," Admiral White said. "And you are being assigned to work with the coalition's High Council on new protocols for mixed-species cooperation. Your job is to teach other species what you have learned." Took the data pad and looked at the commendation. His name was there. His rank was there, but somehow it did not feel real. "There is something else," Admiral White said. "The Coalition has asked to send permanent representatives to Earth. They want to establish a diplomatic office on your home world. They want to begin deeper integration with humanity. And they are asking if you would be willing to return to Earth to help set up that office." Looked at her. "You want me to go home?" "I want you to do what you think is right," Admiral White said. "You have changed the galaxy. Now the question is, do you want to change your home world as well?" 2 weeks later was on a transport ship heading back to Earth. Cole was with him. So was the warrior and the tactician. They were the first alien official ambassadors to visit Earth, and their presence on the planet would mark the beginning of a new era. When the transport landed in Washington, D.C., thousands of people were waiting. They did not know his face, but they had heard the stories. They knew that one of their own had gone to the stars and changed the galaxy. They knew that because of Hayes, humanity was no longer treated as a primitive species. They were treated as equals. The President of the United States was there to greet him. Generals and military officers lined the landing field. News crews from around the world recorded every moment. It was a celebration, but it was also something more. It was recognition that everything had changed. That night in the Rose Garden of the White House, the President held a ceremony to honor. Representatives from every country on Earth were present. The President spoke about human strength and human dignity. The President spoke about what it meant to stand up against injustice. The President spoke about Hayes and the future of humanity in the galaxy. When it was turn to speak, he stood before the cameras and the world. Billions of humans watched from their homes, their cities, their countries. They waited to hear what he would say. "I did not do anything special," said. His voice was steady. "I did what any of us would do if someone struck us without cause. I defended myself. I defended my dignity." He paused. "But I think that moment means something larger. I think it means that humanity is ready to stand as equals with any species in the galaxy. We are not the strongest. We do not have the best technology. We do not live the longest. But we have something that matters. We have the will to survive. We have the determination to keep fighting even when it seems impossible. We have the ability to work together and trust each other." Look directly at the camera. In 6 months, the galaxy learned to respect humanity. But that is not why I am telling you this story. I am telling you this because I want Earth to remember something. Respect is not given. Respect is earned. It is earned by being willing to stand up for what is right. It is earned by refusing to accept oppression. It is earned by working together toward a better future. The speech was broadcast around the world. It was translated into every language. It was the most watched speech in human history. Over the next months, helped establish the Coalition's diplomatic office on Earth. The office was built not in a capital city, but in a small town in Kansas. It was meant to symbolize that the Coalition's interest in humanity was not limited to the powerful nations. It was interest in all humans everywhere. The warrior spent time in military academies across the planet, teaching human soldiers about the tactics and strategies he had learned from working with a mixed-species team. They worked with human scientists and engineers to develop new technology that combined human creativity with calculation. But did not stay on Earth forever. After 2 years, he returned to the diplomatic station. His rank was now higher. His responsibilities were greater. He was no longer just a Marine captain. He was a commander of forces and a leader of initiatives that spanned multiple star systems. One day, while was working in his office, a message came from a remote outpost. It was from Commander Vex. The message was brief. "I have requested transfer to your mixed species division. I want to understand what you have built." Studied the message for a long time. Then he approved the transfer. Years passed. The integration of human and alien forces became normal throughout the Coalition. Young soldiers from a dozen species trained together. Scientists collaborated on impossible problems. Traders and merchants from Earth established routes that reached the farthest edges of known space. And always the story was told. The story of the day when a human was struck by an alien enforcer and struck back. The story of how that one moment changed the galaxy. The story of Hayes and the Marine from Earth who showed the universe that humans would not be treated as lesser beings. On the day that retired from active service, a ceremony was held in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Coalition. Representatives from every species came to honor him, not just for his military service, but for what he had done for the entire galaxy. He had shown that strength and cooperation could exist together. He had shown that species could work as equals. He had shown that one moment of courage could change everything. When the ceremony was over, stood in the same observation bay where he had stood years ago with Admiral White. An old observer stood beside him. The had lived for 5,000 years and had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. I have observed many turning points in history, the said. Moments where everything changes. Your moment was one of them. Did not feel like a turning point. He felt like someone who had simply done what needed to be done, but that was right. One moment, one strike, one decision to fight back had changed the fate of an entire species. Earth was no longer a small, primitive world on the edge of known space. Earth was now a respected member of the galactic community. Young humans traveled to other worlds to study and work. Human soldiers fought alongside aliens against common threats. Human ideas and innovations were shared across star systems. And it had all started because one person was willing to stand up and refuse to accept disrespect. As looked out at the stars, he thought about what he had learned. He thought about the truth that most beings in the galaxy had never understood. Strength is not always about being the biggest or the fastest or the most powerful. Sometimes strength is simply about knowing who you are and refusing to let anyone make you less than that. That was the lesson that the galaxy had learned from Hayes, and that was the lesson that would shape the future of humanity among the stars. In the end, it was not just about one human who struck back against an alien who had disrespected him. It was about what that moment meant for all of humanity. It was about the day when the galaxy finally understood that humans were not to be underestimated. It was about the day when Earth took its rightful place as an equal partner in the universe. And the stars would remember that day forever. Was quiet for a moment. Maybe it is just knowing that the best strength comes from working with others, not against them. Earth taught me that. The coalition needed to learn it. As the night progressed, realized something important. His single moment of courage had not just changed how the galaxy saw humans. It had started a chain reaction that was changing how different species worked together. If humans and aliens could cooperate, if they could trust each other, then perhaps the galaxy could be stronger than it had ever been. And it had all started with a captain who was willing to stand up and fight back. A small blue being who had about Vex's bullying approached with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "For all of us who could not fight back, thank you." Nodded, he understood. This was bigger than him now. He had done more than defend himself. He had shown the galaxy that humans would not accept oppression. He had shown them that weakness and strength are not always what they seem. And that one moment of courage had changed everything. After the general left, understood, everything was beginning to shift. The incident with Vex had changed something fundamental. Humans were not just another species trying to find their place in the galaxy. They were warriors. They were people who would fight for their dignity. And the galaxy was beginning to notice, with something new in his expression. It was respect and rage.